I'm going. All right, we are going to get started here. We have a full house today in recognition of Major M's. We're going to get to that in a second. But thank you all for being here. I know I want to say everybody's here because we're passing the budget today, but perhaps it's Major M's that is drawing the crowd. So we don't want to be delusional. So anyways, thank you all for being here. This is a legislative meeting of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners. It is December 18th, 2025. We start our meetings with silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join us in silent prayer. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's do introductions from the dais.
Christy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, Commissioner.
Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reese.
Jeff Alito, County Administrator.
Patrick Dressing, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
And I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus. All right, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Driehaus?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is a presentation. This is a proclamation honoring Major M's. Major M's, will you please come to the podium so everyone can see you as we do this proclamation. I just want to say, and we'll read through all of the accolades here. In fact, why don't we do that first, and then I'm sure all three of us will have comments to add before we turn it over to you for some comments from yourself. So this is a proclamation celebrating the retirement of Major Dan Ems. Whereas Major Dan Ems retired from his service at the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office on Friday, December 12th, 2025.
And whereas Major Ems has dedicated his life to public service, joining the United States Marine Corps at 17 years old and serving for 12 years. And whereas Major Ems joined the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office in January 1996, rising to the role of Jail Services Sergeant in 1998, Lieutenant in 2008, and Jail Services Major in 2021. And whereas as a lieutenant, he was not only assigned to oversee the operations of a single area in the jail, but was also assigned throughout the years as the Intake OIC, Sheriff's Office Recruiter, Corrections Academy Commander, and Operations Commander for the Jail Services Division.
Whereas when Major Ems was appointed by Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey as the Jail Services Major in 2021, he oversaw the operation of the largest division in the Sheriff's Office, managing over 400 uniformed and support staff, as well as ensuring that care, custody, and control of over 1,000 inmates every day for the last 5 years. And whereas Major Ems was also involved in various local and state level committees, such as the Hamilton County Addiction Response Coalition, where he shaped practice and policy on everything from Ohio jail standards to community addiction response. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio, wishes to recognize Major Dan Ems for his decades of service and his lasting impact on the safety and well-being of all within our county.
Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio, does hereby express its sincere appreciation and gratitude to Major Dan Ems for his outstanding service to our community and extends best wishes for a happy, healthy, and well-earned retirement, and does hereby proclaim December 18th, 2025 as Major Dan Ems Day in all of Hamilton County. All right. right, now we have a couple of comments. And I just want to say, you've got this distinguished career that we've just heard about, a long time career in public safety. But I got to know Major Ems through the Addiction Response Coalition. And I am the chair of the coalition, and we have reorganized a couple times over the past, and we have all these committees that are serving in different sectors: prevention, treatment, law enforcement, all the things. And so Major Ems was an individual that was coming to the meetings and adding so much to this conversation, trying to connect the dots for people in addiction and how we serve those people and keep them from being in the jail, basically. And Major Ems wasn't part of any of the steering committee subcommittees, and so we created a special category called Friends of HCR, because we definitely wanted Major Ems to be there in the room and continue to participate. And so he is a friend of the coalition and has added so much to the work, particularly for those that are justice involved, helping with recovery pods that are over in the Justice Center. Very forward thinking. We did get a state grant for that a number of years ago, and now we've got individuals that are entering that pod on a voluntary basis, men and women saying yes to recovery, and we've got them in that facility and providing supports when they get out so they don't come back to the facility. Major Ems was critical to that success, and I am so grateful for your partnership. Really, it wouldn't have happened without you. I do want to mention that Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey, it wouldn't have happened without you either. But Major Ems was on the ground. So just really do want to thank you for your heartfelt service to this community. You are sincerely dedicated to everybody in the community, no matter where they come from, and making sure that people have the supports to do their best and live their best lives. So really, really grateful for your service. Commissioner Summer-Odumas.
Thank you for your service. And I'm looking at all the things that we listed since 1996. But I think about, and I've run into you several times, always so pleasant and professional. But I'm thinking about all the things that are not on here. The impact that you've had that we didn't even list, that we don't even know, maybe the sheriff doesn't even know, but just from your heart and your giving, there are many more things and more people that you've impacted. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reese.
Major Ems. I don't know, we need a new proclamation that declines retirement. All these great people leaving us. Sheriff McGuffey, how'd you let this happen? No, I'm just kidding. But no, thank you for your service. You have had a very tough job. And going in there and being able to just really build from the bottom up. And when you build from the bottom up, you have a better understanding when you become in charge of it. And I do want to thank Sheriff McGuffey for recognizing that she had someone like yourself that could lead this effort and take us to a new height. But I just want to recognize that I know it wasn't easy every day. And we put you in a tough place. You were up for the challenge and leaving it in a lot better shape than probably when you found it. So just want to say thank you again. Enjoy your retirement, but if you happen to change your mind on the way out, we'll get Frank from HR and Charmaine McGuffey, Sheriff. We'd love to keep you. But Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and have a wonderful retirement.
Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to say that when everyone came in uniform, I was looking for Major Ems and couldn't find him because he's already retired. Look at him. All right, he's in civilian clothes. I'm like, oh no, he's already done it. So anyway, thank you so much for coming in. Thanks to all of you for being here in support. So we're going to turn it over to you.
I want to thank the commissioners for this honor. Thanks, Sheriff McGuffey, for having the faith and confidence in me to put me in my position. The men and women you see in uniform here were the ones behind me that supported me every day, day in and day out. I couldn't have done it without them. Even the civilians, Teresa, Laura, I couldn't have done it without them. They made my success. And I do feel like I'm leaving the place in a better place than when I got it. I'm looking forward to retirement. I don't know if my wife is, but I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for this honor. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to come down and take we're going to go down? Yeah. We're going to go down and take a photo with yourself, and then we'd love to have the team get in the second photo.
And the wife.
And part of the team, right? She can be in the first photo.
okay. So we're gonna do. Okay. Let me fix this tie. I'm sorry. Let me take one. Yep. Gosh, sorry. And you want everyone to come up? Okay. You wanna take one? Okay. Oh, one more, one more. Team up, okay. Everybody come on up. You wanna go on the back? Make, probably, yeah. I think we're gonna have everybody stand here, so we can get a larger group, yeah. If that's okay. Yeah, I think so. Then we can fit more people. We'll need to take it from back. Yeah, we'll go up top, yes. Take you rally those people. Got it. Otherwise, it'd be me.
Oh, we're gonna sit. We're gonna sit. You guys are gonna stand.
Thank you.
That's great.
All right.
Here we go.
Okay.
We're gonna have to really
Squash in.
so we can get everybody in. So maybe taller.
Let's get the
Taller folks, you might have to go up. Squeeze in, yes. Everybody coming in. Lieutenant, everybody coming out.
There we go.
I can't see you, Teresa.
There we go.
Okay.
We gotta step in on the blade there, right? Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Oh, that's great. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is that gonna be an official jail service holiday? Yeah. The 18th? You need to work that in.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Oh my gosh, everybody. Really great. Really great. Thank you. Y'all are welcome to stay. We're going to be talking about the budget. I don't know why everybody's leaving. All right. I know. It's so sad. The room is emptying out here. All right. The next item is public comments, and I do have a few public comment cards, so we will take them next. Got a few folks in the room, and then we've got one on Zoom. Larry Falcon, you're at the top of my list. You've got the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. I'm here to ask you to direct MSD to start billing for excessive runoff and to put it in the 2026 budget. We've spoken before about the reasons for charging for excessive runoff. 2 important facts have come to light since the budget hearings 2 weeks ago that I want to share with you. First, during those budget hearings, Director Christie told you that stormwater dischargers pay for stormwater as part of their sewer bills. She said nobody gets a free ride. It turns out That's not true. An MSD report identified 49,000 properties that generate stormwater and have no water meter. And you know, if they have no water meter, there's no sewer bill. 49,000 properties generating stormwater that have no sewer bill. Second, some of the freeloaders are really big. I give you the example of CSX Corporation. 23 parcels with more than 2 acres each of impervious surface have as their registered address CSX headquarters in Florida. They total more than 170 acres of pavement. If they were billed for the runoff from those properties, it would come to more than $1.5 million a year, and they are not billed for any of that stormwater runoff. Why am I subsidizing CSX and all the other big landowners like CSX? So county commissioners, please direct MSD to start billing for excessive runoff, put that revenue in the 2026 budget. I see that there is a by-leave item on your agenda today to address this issue, and I appreciate that. I wish it moved us further and faster, got us to actual revenue, but I appreciate it being on your by-leave agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to note that by leave number 1 does directly address this, but thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Our next speaker is Bishop Sonny James. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. I didn't come to preach today. Time doesn't permit that.
The pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes.
Hope all of Norwood is watching. I wanted to come today to first celebrate with all of you administrators. I'm celebrating in advance simply because as our public defender's office has submitted a proposal to you all, I certainly understand that there are certain restraints that we have to consider in giving the budget. But I came to celebrate today because I'm so used to speaking a thing as though it were. It's just how I live. But I want to make sure that as we clamp down on all of our final decisions, that we do so understanding that, folks might say, well, Bishop, this ain't the church. Well, I want to step a little further and remind us we are the church, and we are responsible for every decision that we make. And looking at the needs, I understand by cutting some things, it opens the door for others. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to cut some things that would actually cause us to spend more money statewide on the other end. So again, I just came to say hello. I just came to say I trust you. But I also came to remind you that we as people of faith have a stronger commitment to the people and to God. And I trust that budget for the public defender's office will go through simply because there are multiple layers, and we never want to reinvent the wheel. If it's not broken, let's not try to fix it. So I stand with you in all confidence, knowing that we all do this work together. Amen. And then I want to just announce to everybody, Come Together 2.0 is being rescheduled because I messed up on the invites. God bless you all, and happy holidays to you all. That's my minute.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you. Our next speaker is Jean Nightingale. Good morning.
Jean Nightingale, Sierra Club, CUFA, Communities United for Action, and I support just what Larry just said. It's a really important finding. I'm here today to urge county commissioners to adopt an impervious surface fee for the Metropolitan Sewer District. This would incentivize all landowners, including schools, churches, residences, businesses, to adopt a more efficient, best managed practice and save our city money in the long run. Building such incentives into the rate structure would effectively invite the whole community to become active and part of the solution to Cincinnati sewer problems. If more of us showcase green infrastructure projects on their properties, and if we could together create a more resilient city for the future. Our Cincinnati Zoo offers a perfect zero-waste model of managing stormwater by capturing, storing, and reusing rainwater in their cisterns and rain gardens. Slows runoff into the city, reduces water bills. Win-win. Schools like Roberts Academy, Clark Montessori, Hartwell, and UC have all been installing bioswales, beautifying their campuses, educating the community, and saving the city money. The Fairview German School in Clifton is now partnering with a neighboring church to install a bioswale where they see an environmental justice issue here, as well as keeping the rains from flooding their shared parking lots. If more of us did this, we could pretty much solve the problem. A more equitable fee structure would offer the city a win-win solution. Offering financial incentives to implement these win-win projects would help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our last speaker is on Zoom. I believe it's Marie Kokocius. Marie, are you with us?
Unmute. Yes. Good morning. This is my husband's laptop. My name is Marie Kokocius. I am a member of the Miami group of the Sierra Club. I am here today to talk about the MSD budget. We know that MSD has a stormwater problem. The stormwater causes havoc with our combined sewer system. We are proposing and supporting a stormwater fee, which will help the problem, help solve the problem, in addition to the items that Jean Nightingale has mentioned. We think that a stormwater fee is well overdue. We also believe that the fee will not go into place unless it's in the budget. So I ask you to put it in the MSD budget today and move forward to relieve our system of these huge stormwater impacts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marie. All right, that's all the speakers' cards I have for today. So we'll move on to comments and motions of the commissioners. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you so much. Should I save my budget comments until we get to the budget? Would you prefer?
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
All righty. So I participated in our 911 EMA, brand new building out in Springdale. It's been years and years in the plan, and it's absolutely beautiful. It was all over the news about accessibility for each department and how it's going to really make their services more efficient. So was glad to see that happen. Also participated in an executive session with Visit Cincy. There are some changes that are coming out of there, and I am on their board and looking forward to the future for Visit Cincy. Also participated in interviews for a new JFS director as we move forward and look at how we want to, the vision, to fulfill the vision that the commission has had, and also the direction that Job and Family Services is taking is a good one, and we want to continue that progress. And other than that, that's about it. Kim's not in, so I didn't get my report today, but
Okay.
I remember those things. And so, well, I want to say that I've been looking at our budget just as we all have. I think Jeff is a little, I won't say he's a little tired of me, but I think outside of the box a little, and I research a lot, and I'm very detailed, and just question after question, which is my responsibility. So I'll talk about the staff a little later.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Yes, thank you. And I will reserve my comments when we get to the budget. Most of the things that we've been focused on is the budget, and so did a lot of that, obviously, these last few weeks. Wanted to also say that the ribbon cutting at the 911 EMA was amazing. It was good news. Certainly, when you look at combining services, state-of-the-art technology, which we have to have if we're going to be safe, and it's just a huge move. I think they were saying that we haven't had a new building in decades. So for our board to be able to partner and have 911 EMA ribbon cutting that we had, and now have a new joint facility out in Springdale, it was great. I want to thank everyone that had a hand in that, of course, Andy and Nick, but all of the architects, all of the people that worked on the project, everything. It just really looked very good. But more importantly, for the workers that are out there, they have a very tough job. They're on the front lines many times, the first person that you hear from. All the coordination that's done in our in our county and in our region to keep our county safe from a lot of these disasters and different things that are happening. So that was a huge, huge deal. And so was happy to see it go from, a concept to actual reality. So I want to thank all of them and thank Administrator Ludo and his staff in getting this done. This is a huge, huge improvement. So was just happy to be a part of that, and certainly several elected officials because this is regional. But of course we were in we were in Mayor Hawkins' backyard, and of course he said he has lots of other things that's available. But it was just great to do that and be out there. The other thing, met with regarding the 2026 513 relief bus, and certainly looking to expand partnerships and more help. This is our mobile services, and it's been doing a phenomenal job. Was able to pivot when SNAP benefits were cut. And I would have to say they still are cut because they're not all the way put back whole, but when they were almost eliminated, the bus was able to partner with a number of church pantries and Free Store Food Bank and was able to pivot. And so just has helped so many people. So I'm excited about expanding. We are very, I think, unique in having an asset like this with results of helping and providing services of 30,000. I think that's a huge thing in these days and times. No copay. We're talking about rising medical costs. Go on that bus, there's no copay. Big savings, life savings and financial savings. People have gotten jobs from being on that bus. People have had their lives saved, cancer screenings from that bus. So many things, back to school, going on there and getting physicals. Parents can't afford it on that bus. So was just happy to hear about it, and we're gonna do a much better job in being able to track all of the stuff because we've been under-reporting. And I'm looking forward to a new system that will be able to capture the real stories, the financial benefits, and the cost savings to the taxpayers around Hamilton County. So those were some of the things. Also participated in looking into the next JFS director, and we look forward to having that announcement soon. One of the things I've always said, we want to move from a welfare concept to a customer service-based concept. Looking forward to that. The next director will have a lot of challenges. We'll have to hit the job running quickly, and so I'm looking forward to the next chapter with that. We probably will be talking about the budget, so I want to say this to everybody out there. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season. Hopefully be able to enjoy it with their families, and certainly looking forward to a prosperous new year, but I know it will be challenging, but a prosperous new year. And then I want to personally thank my staff. I had a medical challenge, and I want to thank Veda Stevens in my office, my chief of staff. They kept it going. So I said, it's been great with the training because he knows what to do. And he's been in all of these negotiations as well. But on top of that, I've been unable to drive and do all the other kind of things. So we've been able to communicate, and I just want to thank him. And I want to thank Jackie Taggart Boyd also from my office for keeping this thing moving. We haven't missed a beat, and we've been able to continue to represent the people. But I definitely appreciate that. And then last but not least, if you've lost a loved one, this is a grieving time for a lot of people during this time, and mental health is important to us. Check on your friends, your family, because this is a tough time when you go through these times, and some people have lost loved ones, and some of the people you think are the strongest who help everyone else, they may need some help. So please check in on them and pray for those. We have people that's outside, that's homeless, and we're working every day to try to get them inside where they can have a home. So that's what I have. Just want to say, just being thankful for the opportunity to serve and being thankful to represent Hamilton County citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. I too want to start with the 911 EMA building consolidation up in Springdale. It was a wonderful event. The facility is so much better than either EMA or 911 have had in the past. We are asking people to do very difficult things, particularly at 911 when they're answering the phone on people's worst day. And the old building, I know all three of us have been there, dark, close, no room to decompress after a difficult call. And so we wanted to provide a better situation there for those employees and help us recruit, because we really have had a difficult time keeping people in some ways because of the environment in which they had to work. So very excited about that. The consolidation of EMA and 911 together, it has a lot of synergies, and so it made all the sense in the world to do that consolidation. So I was excited to join my colleagues and others at that ribbon cutting. Thanks to Nick Crosley, Andy Knapp, and Mayor Hawkins up in Springdale for welcoming us and taking us on tours through the building. It was really a celebratory event. I also participated in the Kindness for Kids. So the Kindness for Kids is something that JFS, Jobs and Family Services here at the county, has stood up to provide gifts for kids during the holidays. These are kids that are in foster care, and so this program has stood up every year. I know John Nelson is here. Thank you for your participation in helping do this, John. So we have this QR code that you can scan, and I'm going to encourage everybody in the room to do it. Go to JFS's website, scan the code for Kindness for Kids. Takes you right to Amazon, and you can donate some gifts for some of the kids that are in care. So at the Bengals game on Sunday, we asked people to come by and drop off gifts as they were going to the game, or scan the code and do it later on when they were a little bit warmer. It was very cold on Sunday. And so I want to thank those that we collected over 400 gifts for kids. So that's, and a lot of people scanned the code. And so hopefully donated after. Nobody wanted to take their gloves off, and I get it, right? But they did it. But thanks to Bridget Doherty, Amanda, Quinn, Jeff was out there. So we were, we could only last for about an hour or so. It was really cold. But anyway, thank you for that. And there's still an opportunity to give is my point. So please go to JFF's website if you'd like to donate a football or a paint set or some slippers to one of the kids in our foster care system. I too wanted to say happy holidays to everyone. This is the last time we will be together this year, presuming that we pass the budget, which I am presuming that we're going to pass the budget. And so happy holidays to staff. It's been a challenging year, a good year, but a challenging year when it comes to the finances. And so I wanted to thank everybody for their service to the county through all of our departments, and thank especially the budget staff. Rob is in the room, so thank you for your service to the county. Very grateful for that. So with that, Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know there are many by-leave items, so why don't we run through those, and then we will move into the conversation regarding the budget.
Thanks, Commissioner. I'll get to the by-leaves in just a second. Just a couple of quick comments. I do just want to double down on what all three of you have indicated about the news with the 911 center. 911 EMA Center. Nick would be very upset if I just called it the 911 Center. 911 EMA Center out in Springdale. I just want to thank everyone for their work and getting that done. I think I've done enough enough times I've congratulated Andy and Nick on this. I want to just take a little bit different pivot and thank all the people who helped get that facility done, as well as are working now on the Central Campus building, because we're going to have a lot of changes next year in terms of where people are. So we've got a new 911 EMA facility. We're going to have a lot of our departments out of the new Central Campus facility out in Bond Hill. Reentry is going to be a new facility. So just a lot of work. I can't remember a time in this organization's history when we've had this much capital work going on related to where people are going to be doing their work. And it was just sorely needed because Commissioners, you know the space these folks were working in. And it really all goes back to, if you remember, this started with the crime lab and getting the crime lab redone because of those conditions. But I just want to thank all the people who were responsible, the facility staff and leadership, so Bert Watts, Rika, John, and all the all the trades folks, all the maintenance folks who helped to pull those projects together. Can't thank them enough. I know many of them probably lived away from home for a while they were getting these projects done. So I want to thank them for that. Commissioners, also, just as you'd all indicated, as we're wrapping up the year here, we got a huge amount of work done this year. So I just want to thank all the county employees who delivered that work on behalf of county residents. I want to thank the board for its guidance and all of your efforts this year. Thank the leadership team that does just such great work for this county. Holly, John, Lisa, Anson, Frank, Bridget, Michael, and Trina, who just get so much work done on behalf of the board and the residents of this county. I just wanted to end my comments this year thanking them for all of their work. And as you indicated, Commissioner, we do have a substantive by leave list today, which I will get into. The first item, actually, I'm going to defer to Holly. For the first two items, who's going to walk us through an MSD item and then a property disposition item as well. So, Holly.
Good morning, Board. Thank you. By Leave 1 is a resolution directing the Metropolitan Sewer District to further evaluate and develop its proposed program to recover costs for excess wet weather flow in the combined sewer area. You've heard public comments on this earlier. This program concept was shared with the board in July, in which MSD would evaluate billing properties with large amounts of impervious area and wet weather flow impacting MSD's sewer system. This will also potentially create opportunities for collaboration with property owners and MSD on solutions to reduce the amount of wet weather flow entering the system. This program is an outcome and alternate to the Impervious Surface Task Force that the board set up several years ago. And I really want to applaud MSD for their efforts to find alternatives that still help meet the intent of the issue. I want to be clear, this resolution, though, does not constitute board approval for the program. It only directs MSD to come back with a plan for board review no later than the end of the first quarter of 2026. And MSD is here if there are specific questions on this program.
Thank you. I'm wondering if we should roll through all of these.
Roll through all of them? Okay. Happy
Commissioners,
to.
is that all right? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. By Leave 2 is a resolution declaring certain property no longer needed and authorizes the Community Improvement Corporation of Greater Cincinnati to act as agent to sell the property. This property is the southern portion of 3955 Hunt Road. It's the portion south of Ronald Reagan Highway and consists of roughly 15 acres. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I think we've gotten information on that one too, so thank you for that. All right, let's.
Thank you, Commissioners.
And Commissioners, please interrupt if you have questions.
Thank you, Commissioners. By leave number 3 is resolution number 27, adopting a cybersecurity program. I was going to ask John if John is. I thought John was in. Oh,
well, there he is.
Sorry.
There he is.
Normally, John comes in from
behind
the hallway here, so that threw me off a little bit. So
I expected there to be more response to Holly's presentation.
She was very thorough.
Yes. The cybersecurity program, this was actually required under House Bill 96 this fall by the state, and it requires all jurisdictions, counties, cities, everybody really, to have a program in place that just secures our technology environment. And what's wonderful about this is it's a very collaborative effort. So our Director of Technical Services has worked with the IT staff across every department in the county to come up with a plan that's based on national standards for cybersecurity. And we're glad to present that to you today.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item number 4. I'll take the ones that get substantively easier here.
I've noticed
Item number 4 is authorizing the use of credit cards for the use of the Veteran Services Commission in the amount of $88,500. Item number 5 actually is a more substantive item that the board acted on portions of this project last week, but this is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Alpha Video and the board for the remainder of the Paycor Stadium Jungle Vision upgrade project. This is in the amount of $19.5 million. As the board is aware, and if folks are watching at home, Jungle Vision is the system, which is the nerve center, if you will, of all of the audio-visual interactions that occur down at the stadium. So this is for any event, not just football, but for any event that occurs that would make use of audio-visual at this public asset. The Jungle Vision system is the nerve center of that, and it's at the end of its life, needs to be replaced. Last week, the board passed a resolution approving agreements for the electric work and for the general construction portion of the project. Today, we have this agreement for the remainder and the video, mainly the video portion of this project. It's in the total of, as I said, $19.5 million. The good news is it is approximately $1 million under budget. So that is the Jungle Vision project, commissioners. Item by leave 6 is budget adjustment number 55. This is for the general fund. This is the sheriff in the amount of $1.2 million. This is mainly for overtime holiday pay. There are also some small reconciliations there from the sheriff and probation, some reconciliations and transfers to close out grants effectively.
Commissioners, I did have a question about this one. I just want to raise it. Do you see that there is, for the sheriff, it's 1 cent? There's a reconciliation for 1 penny. I just want to say we're doing a good job here. No, I was like, whoa. And I thought it was a misprint. And the 15.26 isn't 15.26 million. It's $15.26. So good job, budget staff, for reconciling to the penny, literally to the penny. Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
They are definitely accurate, yes.
Yeah.
Commissioners, items 7 and 8 are appointments. I didn't know if you wanted
I'll
to
do
take
these,
those.
sure.
Okay.
So by leave number 7 is a resolution appointing members to the Community Development Advisory Committee, Dolores Peterson and William Basil. And then number 8 is a resolution appointing a member to the Economic and Community Support Advisory Council, Kulaya Pickett. So those two are the advisory committee appointments.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item by leave 9 is a budget adjustment. This is $15.7 million for capital projects and grant balance closeout. So a lot of this is the closing out of capital projects, returning the remaining funds to their fund of origin. There are a couple of projects in here that are appropriating dollars for new projects or ongoing projects. There's funding in there for the build out of the facility where we do commitment hearings for probate court out at Summit Behavioral Health. That's a project that's in cooperation with the state. There's funding for permanent for the permit automation facility redesign up in planning and development. Now that they are going with virtual electronic permitting, they've needed to do some workflow redesigns in their offices. And there are also some revisions to the central campus project as well, included in that budget adjustment. By leave 10, Commissioners, is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of donations for the prosecuting attorney's victim support program. This is actually for the donation of a therapy dog in the prosecutor's office that's being donated. So we need to pass a resolution in order to accept that donation. I'm going to, Commissioners, if you don't mind, hold by leave 11. That actually relates directly to the passage of the 2026 budget. So I think it would be appropriate just to lump that item in with that discussion, which we'll have momentarily. And finally, Commissioners, resolution by leave 12. This is resolution number 30. This comes at the request of the courts related to the increase of jurors' pay to $30 per day from $19 a day. I believe this was discussed in the court's presentation to the board during their budget presentation. Happy to answer any questions, Commissioners.
Okay, thank you very much. So are there any questions related to the by leaves?
I have a couple. By leave 1, I just wanted to indicate with MSD and the plan that's coming forward that I'm just really happy about that getting started, and also that there's a time frame of when the development of the draft plan should happen. And also, by leave 3, I think I know John talked about it, the cybersecurity program. I don't know, is AI included in our cybersecurity program? Because I end up, okay. You can't see it.
We may be getting out of my depth. I'm gonna throw this out. If our IT director is on the line, I believe Chris Walsh may be on the line and may want to chip in here. I don't know that AI is specifically referenced in it, but I'm sure that the general security premises extend to that. But I think Chris may be on the line and may want to say more.
Hi, good morning, commissioners. Chris Walsh here. And John is correct that AI is not called out specifically in the program in and of itself. However, it is covered with the national standards that we've adopted through this cybersecurity program.
Okay, thank you. When I got certified in this area, and I had mentioned that we need, Chris, some policies and procedures as it relates to internally, how we can use it, what it can be used for. So I would just suggest that we kind of upgrade what we're doing, our policy internally. That would be great, I think, for the county. You agree or not? Oh, you muted.
I think we do. This program is really specifically around security and where there are vulnerabilities. Whereas I think what we probably will be looking at, and which each office will be looking at more individually, is how do they effectively use AI. That's really separate from a security program.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay.
And Commissioner, I apologize. I lost the ability to speak there for a minute. We've actually have some processes we're starting. It's very much in the infancy, but working with Deputy Commissioner Anson, where we've started an AI committee where we're starting to do just as John described. We're looking at how this can be used in the business, in the various business offices. And then we're looking at what policies and procedures do we need to put in place to effectively put guardrails on it, right? We don't want to have data exfiltration or inappropriate use of those tools. So that is in process, although it's not called out specifically.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese?
Yes, thank you. On item by leave number 5, I'd like to have that voted on separately. And I believe that's dealing with the video and audio jungle vision. So I do have more questions that can't get answered today. So I'd like to have that separately done. I know that there was some issues outside of that as it related to attendees, fans at the games, and the seats not being cleared. And I know that my colleague, Commissioner Dumas, I had read, she had also expressed concerns. We can't do this one-sided thing. When it comes to something for the fans or the attendees, or comes to the taxpayers, they can't seem to be falling last in this thing. And we've had this pattern of behavior. And for me, I just can't keep funding stuff on our side. And then on the side when it's, well, we couldn't clean off the seats. I mean, the weatherman told us we knew when it was going to start and stop, or they could have called Nick Crosley. He has all the information. And it's just, we just can't keep just turning a blind eye to this stuff. At the same time, I remember, there was some fans that said, hey, why don't we have a free watch party, brought it forward. They went head over heels to say it couldn't be done, and only to come back a year or two after it was done, and it was done everywhere else. Detroit did it, everyone did it. Then he came back and figured out, oh, we can charge people $99. Now it can be done. So we've just got to, we just can't turn a blind eye. And if we're going into a 11-year deal, I don't know why we have to pay a lot of stuff all up front if it's over 11-year period. So the season is over. So we won't be needing a jungle vision this week, or we'll need it, after the playoffs. We won't be going in the playoffs. So I just think we just could have had a little more time. And I'd like to know a little bit more what's going to be available for even other hopefully other events that are coming. But we can't get those answers today, so I just like to pull this out and hold until I can get some more information on it. So I have that one. The other one, I do want to just thank the people who are serving on these boards. Thank them for stepping up and serving on the board. And yeah, I'm interested too. The cybersecurity program is very important. Of course, going to have to be evolving as new technology continues to be continued. You know, we continue to look at that. And then also, I think item number 1, the resolution authorizing MSD to proceed with further evaluation, I think is important with the Service Charge pilot program. So I was certainly interested in supporting those. But those are the things that I like to have that one pulled out. And again, thanking those who are willing to serve and be on these boards with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I too wanted to highlight by leave number 1. We've talked about this. We've heard a lot of public comment about this. So we'll move within the first quarter of next year to get a pilot program launched, hopefully. So I'm excited about that. On by leave 3, the cybersecurity one, is there a cost associated with this? Okay. Oh, very good. That's the right answer. All right. Just curious. And another one of those recommendations from the state. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? Right. We got a lot of that going on. Okay, and then the jurors' pay. I wanted to highlight number 12, increasing the jurors' pay. Hopefully that will encourage people to do their civic duty and participate on juries.
Actually, Commissioner, if you like, I could say this security program may actually come with some cost savings, because I think as these IT folks get together and learn where they might be duplicating services and security services, we're starting to consolidate some of that stuff. So it's a positive.
Very good, John. This is good news. I'm glad to get some good news today. All right, so we're going, if there are no further questions, I am going to move that we approve of by leaves. And we can bifurcate number 5. I think we've got a majority ready to move on that one, but I will pull it out. So by leaves, I'm making a motion to approve of by leaves 1 through 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. So let's vote on by leave 5. I'm going to make a motion to approve of by leave 5.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
No.
Thank you. And then by leave 11, Jeff, how do you, I know you wanted to hold this because it pertains to the budget.
Yes.
So at some point, though, we have to pass this. So
we've got the regular agenda item number 1, which relates to the budget,
Right.
and so this will just be included.
Okay.
I will I will ask the commissioners to consider both by leave item 11 and regular agenda item number.
I just don't want to lose track of it.
We will not
You
lose
won't let
track.
us lose track.
And
Okay.
Rob is burning holes through me.
All right,
if I,
so we're going to leave by leave
lose
11
track of it.
alone for the moment. All right, let's move into then regular agenda item number 1, which is the general fund, all funds budget.
Thank you, Commissioner. So this moves right into that. So before you today are 2 resolutions associated with the 2026 budget. The first is item number 1 in your packet. This establishes a $1.36 billion all funds operating budget for 2026. Of that amount, $403.8 million is appropriated to the county general fund. That amount includes several adjustments to the administrator's recommended budget, which I presented back in early November. Many of those adjustments, which we reviewed publicly on Tuesday's staff meeting for transparency's purpose, those include an increase of $950,000 in the prosecutor's budget, an increase of $305,000 in the sheriff's budget, an increase of $203,534 in the Veteran Services Commission budget, $100,000 in economic development to support the Building Futures program, $75,000 increase in the probate court budget, and an increase of $46,100 in the public defender's budget. The budget as adopted also holds the transfer tax rate at the 2025 level and does not incorporate an additional mill as was proposed in my recommended budget. We also simultaneously, Commissioner, have budget adjustment number 1 in front of you, which is contained as by leave item number 11, which was also a part of the budget process. This adjustment appropriates funding from the general fund reserve to supplement various programs where we still are not quite certain that operating revenues are going to support in the long run, but the board wanted to ensure that we continue these programs while we assess the revenue environment in 2026. These include an increase of $250,000 to the large tourism event grant program for a total of $1 million, an increase to the small community event grant program of $150,000 to a total of $250,000, an increase to the community revitalization grant program of $400,000 for a total of $1.55 million, an increase to the Pitch Night Small Business Day programming of $10,000, an allocation of $100,000 to the Sports Commission, an allocation of $150,000 to support bike trail development, and an allocation and I would say that last one is consistent with with my initial recommended budget, and an allocation of $1 million to support affordable housing development or programming in the community, which we will discuss further the programming of that funding in 2026. So, Commissioners, as you're aware, this was a tight, challenging budget to balance, as evidenced by the various service needs we heard from departments that just didn't align with our revenue availability this year. So in the final document, we made an effort to account for some of those, but unfortunately, there just wasn't the revenue availability to address all of them. So I want to thank the board for its guidance through this process. Thank all the department heads, all the elected officials for their cooperation as we've navigated the process, the budget department for all their hard work in getting us to this point, and most importantly, all the employees of the county who do the day-to-day work of our organization to deliver value for the taxpayer. We're going to need to monitor this budget closely, as we always do, but very closely over the course of the year, stay in close touch with departments, elected offices, and agencies, as we know that there are several offices where budget pressures are going to be particularly acute. I think it's important to note that we expect departments to remain within budget during the coming year, but I think we've prided ourselves in the past and over the years on being able to work and cooperate with departments and elected offices where there are challenges to ensure that those departments can accomplish their missions successfully on behalf of the residents of the county, and we'll continue to work towards that same goal in 2026. So in the end, Commissioners, we have a balanced budget, one that supports the mandated functions of the county, and also one that continues to provide programming important to the board, specifically as it relates to helping this county grow and prosper. So with that, Commissioners, I turn it back over to you for any comments or questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do have some comments. First of all, I want to thank the administration for all the hard work. This has been a very challenging process, particularly you, Jeff, John Brugan, Rob Wagner, the entire budget team. I know there's been a lot of conversation back and forth with the different departments, and it's been challenging. I've heard from some of them myself, and I know the budget team has heard from them over and over again about some of the challenges that exist. I want to also thank the chiefs of staff who have been doing the negotiating on behalf of the county commissioners since we are not able to do that ourselves. So thank you to the chiefs for productive conversations. So as has been said, and I also want to thank the citizens. We had a couple of public hearings. So thanks to those who came out and testified at those hearings. I think this budget reflects a lot of what we heard by way of the changes from the administrator's recommendation to where we are today. So it's been challenging because our expenses are up and our revenues are fairly flat. And that creates a real challenge for us. The primary source of revenue, as everyone knows, is the sales tax, and the sales tax has been pretty flat. And so that's created a problem when it comes to some of the requests that came in from the different departments. When you think about, though, what drove the increase, because we've got like a 3% increase in this budget, which is very nominal. But remember, we're doing a 3% increase to wages for the folks that work through the county throughout all of the systems, trying to make sure we can recruit and retain individuals. And so that is responsible for a lot of that growth. I think that's where we need to be. Years ago, before I got here, we were not in this position, and we declined to give raises for 5 years in a row. We lost a lot of people during that time, and these are people with a lot of experience and expertise, and we really don't want to be in that position again. So I am very proud that this has been a primary focus of this county to make sure that we've got good individuals serving the public of Hamilton County. So I also want to thank these departments and the other elected officials throughout the county. We had budget hearings with them many months ago, making sure they understood the landscape of reduced or flat revenues, and many of them responded in kind and said, okay, we are going to come in with less than what we would like to come in with as a request, acknowledging that we've got a pretty flat revenue source going here. So I just also want to point out this budget is no different than those in the past, where the bulk of the money, over 70%, is going to safety. When you think about safety for the county, we're talking about the courts, the Justice Center, the Office of Reentry, 911, emergency management, the coroner's office, the prosecutor's office, the public defender's office, the dog warden, the list goes on. This is a budget built around public safety. And I think that's what our constituents expect from us, and that is what we've delivered here on this budget. The other piece where we had some movement was some of the economic development opportunities that we have. And I want to say that while some of these grants that were highlighted, the revitalization grant, for instance, or the large event grant, while they are great for the community and they're community building grants, what they're meant to do is drive revenue into the coffers of the county. Increase economic activity through some of these grants, and so that we've got more by way of sales tax, we've got more by way of property tax. We don't collect income tax. Otherwise, we would see a benefit by way of income tax, but our 49 jurisdictions do. And so these grants are in partnership with the 49 jurisdictions throughout the county, particularly the Community Revitalization Grant. So these were moved into a category against the reserve. I think it's a really important distinction because these will be evaluated every year. So these are not ongoing expenses. We couldn't build them into the bulk of the budget, but rather put them against reserve. And they are many of them are at lesser amounts than we have funded in the past. So it is a recognition that we still want to do these things, create this economic activity out in the communities, but we've got less to do it with. And so we are providing a little bit less in many of these categories. So those would include the large event and small event grants, the community revitalization grants. And we just heard, I think it was last week, from a couple of communities that have received these and done some catalytic projects in their communities, and we're really grateful for that partnership. Building Futures is one of those, as is the Sports Commission. So again, all at lesser amounts, but important work that we're doing here. Some of the increases came in the other category, which is ongoing expenses. You cannot create a budget where, say, the prosecutor asks for additional dollars and you put that against reserve. We can't do that. That is not sustainable because those costs are ongoing. So we had to build that into the budget, which was a significant challenge. So we increased some investments. They're all through public safety. The sheriff, the prosecutor, the public defender, and the courts. And so we heard a lot during the hearings about this. We also heard a lot about some of the economic development stuff. And so this budget, or our recommendations to the administrator, reflect a lot of what we heard. We also heard about veteran services. That is being fully funded in this budget. And we still have a substantial reserve, although, as the administrator indicated, we need to keep an eye on that. Some of our other economic development partners, the Port, Ready, and Alloy, all are taking a haircut in this budget. They're still being funded, but we have provided a few less dollars there, something else that I think is concerning, but something that we had to do. The affordable housing piece, the $1 million, I think this, again, is against the reserve. Am I right about that? It's against the reserve, yeah. This is something else that we will be evaluating year after year. But I do think it shows the ongoing commitment of this commission to affordable housing in this community. Whether we're spending it on one thing or the other, this commitment, I think, is really important to individuals that are watching this work and putting in, right? Because this commitment leverages money from the city, from the state, from the private community. And so I think it's really important that while it's only $1 million, I think it is a significant indicator that we're interested in continuing this work. The budget also funds key social services, things that the community relies on, especially those that are in stressful situations. A lot of that is relevant to the levies. We haven't talked a whole lot about the levies here. We're going to have ongoing conversations come the new year on the levies and some of the challenges there. But it is important that we recognize that we have 7 levies under the control of the County Commission, those being for seniors, for kids, for people with disabilities, for indigent care. These are important services that we deliver to this county, to the citizens of this county, especially those that are living in the margins. And we need to make sure that we are funding those as we can and relying on the taxpayers, obviously, to vote for those levies. And so more conversation to come next year related to levies. So in 2026, we're going to face some headwinds. We've already referenced some of these things. There are changes going on at the federal level. SNAP comes to mind. We are going to suffer from policy directives of this administration at the federal level regarding SNAP. We are going to have to pay more to administer that program. And if our error rate doesn't improve, we are going to pay a lot more. And so that is something that I'm very concerned about related to the JFS levy. It's created a lot of uncertainty, and that is never good for the economy. We've got some headwinds coming from the state. We've referenced House Bill 335. This is the property tax relief bill. So property taxes or inside millage for the county will be held at the rate of inflation. That is our answer to how do you provide relief to citizens whose property tax bills are going way up and spiking? This will keep that from happening. And so it is our way of addressing that problem. I should say one of the ways, but it's going to cost money. I mean, this will cost millions of dollars to the county. This is I'll speak for myself. This is my idea of partnership, right? We have to do something. And so we know it's going to cost money, but we have to recognize that in the next budget, this is going to come to pass. And we're going to have less revenue at our disposal because of some of that. Something that we're doing by way of partnership with the citizens and property taxpayers in this area. And then the uncertainty in the economy. I mean, in some ways, this budget looks towards the future and says we are hopeful that our sales tax revenue will improve. I am hopeful of that. We have got a lot of good things going on in this county. I think about the convention center redevelopment and all the economic activity that's going to bring in. We've done that in partnership with the city. We will benefit from that through sales tax. The city will benefit through income tax. But hopefully we will see that some of our investments start to pay off by bringing some more revenue into our budget, and so that next year is not so difficult. But we will know that soon enough. Right, we have projections in the first quarter that are indicators of how we are doing, and we're going to have to keep an eye on it because it's not as if our costs are going down. The costs will continue to go up as we continue to invest in our workforce and the workers that provide services to this county, and so we are going to have to keep a close eye on how those revenues will coming in and make sure that we're exercising all of our options. So that's what I've got related to this budget. I once again want to thank everybody. There's been a lot of adjustment from the administrator's recommendation to the budget we've got in front of us now. And so I'm grateful to my colleagues and to staff for working with all of us to make sure that we got this right. So that's what I have. I'm going to turn it over to you, Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to make a comment as it relates so I could have it on the record. There was a gentleman, John from Georgia, who sent me an email as it relates to the Bengals game and Kindness for Kids, and I want to submit it to the clerk. So I just wanted to say that publicly in case he's watching. As it relates to the budget, certainly want to thank staff, and I'll get it to you. Okay. Staff in the finance department, my colleagues, for all the work that they've done as it relates to this budget. My concern was not to add any additional cost on our residents, if at all possible. And that's why the transfer fee, which we didn't have to vote on, but I said no to the transfer fee also to make sure that did not happen. So I really want, and I want to thank the chiefs of staff, how hard they've worked, specifically my chief of staff, Bishop Bobby Hilton, who had to go back and forth with me and make sure that he communicated what I needed, and I'm sure he did that, and it seems like the things that I was interested in as a commissioner came through in the budget. But for me, it's about trust. It was brought up earlier about trust by the bishop, and for administration, when I asked all those questions that I asked, I had to trust that the answers were truthful. They were coming forward to give me more enlightenment on making a decision. It's not blind trust. When you've worked with people for a while and you know that they're there for the greater good of this county, and I truly believe administration is there for that, and also finance. So I appreciate you answering all those questions. We're living in a perilous time. There is no business as usual. I'm a very positive person, one of the most positive you'll ever meet, I think. But we don't know what tomorrow may bring. We really don't know. Every day, from day to day, some people are literally now living from day to day. As a government, we can't live from day to day. We have to be able to look ahead and have a reserve and plan ahead. But it's really hard in these times. We do not have the millions of the ARPA monies that we had before to fall back on. We have to spend all our monies by the end of 2026. And one of my major concerns when we started this budget discussion was, how long are we going to continue to fund those new programs that we were able to start because of the ARPA money? But I will say that I'm satisfied that we were able to reduce the amount of money that we were putting toward those programs. But I still say, how long? How long are we going to continue to undergird these different programs? They were doing well before we gave them the additional money. Of course, they did better, but I think they will do fine without the monies that we're giving from the county. I said before at our public hearing, there's one pie. We only have one pie. We have to divide it up. And who says that somebody should get more than others? Well, of course, public safety always, traditionally, everywhere gets more, and that's okay with me. But some of the central items for me on the budget were of course, public safety, children's services, seniors, housing, food insecurity. Some say the return of investment is needed to ensure that monies come in, for instance, the economic development programs that we have. And I also agree with that, but I think that they will do fine without all the money that we give them from the county. I'm really happy about the developments. I voted on the new developments, and I think they're good for the county, of course. I'm on, as I said, the Visit Cincy board, and I encourage them to continue to do what they're doing. Requests will continue to come in, I'm sure. I don't believe we can, the feds will not, they've cut our money. We don't know what else they're gonna cut. They may cut SNAP again. So we're still trying to meet the needs of the needy. Every group that requested funding is in need. Everyone that I mentioned, children, seniors, property owners, nonprofits, affordable housing, sheriffs, court system, prosecutors, just to name a few. As your commissioner, it's my job to fund these requests, keep a reserve. Our reserve is down, not a lot. I think it's down about 3% than where we're used to having it. Because we don't know, as I said, about SNAP or anything else. I mean, HUD is cutting. We don't know about housing for people. I can remember several months ago when JFS came in here and they had $100 million reserves. And there was some talk about, why don't we use some of that money for other things? And I said, absolutely not. Our children have lots of needs, and we need to keep that money in that coffer. Where now, JFS is looking at a possible $34 million deficit in 2026 if they don't do something different and we do something different. So I'm real happy that we kept that money in there. One initiative that I started and my colleagues supported was Inspire Initiative, which it will be funded this time. It has impacted over 30,000 children. Like I said at the start, we have to be ready to respond. That's why when we were asked to put in $1 billion for the renovation at the Paycor Stadium, $1.3 billion, and we said, no, you're gonna have to do better than that. And we reduced it all the way to $350 million for the board to, and also, of course, the Bengals will be putting in some money and NFL will also be putting in money. But we have been fighting for our residents and for the tax dollar. It's very lean, as was said before. But my wish, since I didn't give a wish for Christmas yet, I was gonna wait, but my wish for this season is that the people of Hamilton County do your research, read. You listen to us, but don't take everything that we say. Research it, look at the details, not only listen, but hear what we say. Because everything you hear is not the fact. You need to fact check. That's my wish for our residents. And look at my voting record on the issues that concern you. Take a real hard look at where your money is going. That's my wish for all of these, all of our residents in Hamilton County. This is a lot of money we're hopefully getting ready to pass this budget for. Don't just accept what's being said up here, but look into it, research it, because this is your money. And that's my wish, my prayer for 2026 as we move forward. We're hoping that these monies will suffice. And as I said, we are not fortune tellers. We don't know what's going to come forward. And we're hoping that our reserve will handle it. But if not, we have to do what we have to do as a commission. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Thank you. This budget process, since I've been here, has probably been maybe one of the toughest. I don't know. My first one probably was tough because we were looking to get go in a new direction on some things. But this one was really tough. For me, my focus was three things from what I heard from citizens, not at the town hall meeting, not just in this room, but what I would hear from people at the grocery store, what I would hear from people coming out of church, what I would hear from people at the gas station. People would stop me and talk about what they wanted to see. Now, county government, ours has been in existence over 200 plus years. Most people don't even know what the county does. They're getting a little better at it, but basically they know it if they get a child support order or if they got to pay property taxes, similar to that. But outside of that, they don't really know. It's not like when they go down to local city government and those kind of things. And so as I talk with them and listen to them and called our office and different things, there's three things that I wanted to fight for in this. For me, it has to be the people's budget. It's not my personal budget. It's the people's budget. And there were three things that came into mind based on what they said. And these would be people also that I see when I go out to the 513 relief bus, a lot of people that we run into. Number one, they want to make sure that they're safe. Safety was important. Number two, and not in this order, but the other issue was affordability. So safety, affordability is huge right now. And they didn't want any new taxes. So as I looked at this budget and we went into negotiations, and as was stated, it's different. It's a little difficult because you have to go through your chiefs of staffs. We can't talk directly and do our own negotiations as we've been able to do at the State House and been able to do at the city, which is the part I really love. But our chiefs of staffs, I think, did a good job trying to articulate and keep up with as this thing was moving. In this budget, when it first was presented, there was, as presented, I couldn't have supported it as is presented it. Because in the presented budget, it had that there would be an additional tax, if you will, on your real estate. If you were to sell it, there was going to be a transfer tax. And I had heard from people they didn't want any more new taxes. At the hearings, and I appreciate us hearing from people and saying, yes, we're going to take that out. And I want to thank the Greater Cincinnati Realtors Alliance, the Realtist Association, Home Builders Association, and other alliances, Mary Huttenler and Felicia Bell and Heather Koff, and so many others that came and testified in that area, and how that would affect even new home buyers. It would affect affordable home buyers. And so it would be counterproductive to what we have been promoting, affordability. We've been saying we for affordable housing, but we would have inadvertently put something in that made it unaffordable for a person to have a house. And so I'm happy that that is out. I was not for it when I first saw it. And I want to thank those who are in this industry who came out and talked about it. And even one lady came who does the mortgages. She does them for the major banks. She doing for, and she really gave a good Cliff Note lesson that even something as much as $10 more could just cut it off. You could have done all the work and got all your down payment, got all the, you repaired your credit and everything, but they have a stop. And if it's $10, even $10, it would kill the deal. So I'm glad that that is not in here. And so that moved me toward, well, maybe I can go with this budget. Because with that in there, it would have been a no for me. Because no new taxes was a big deal. For a lot of people, it was a big deal from what I heard. Affordability. People right now suffering, and not people that you could just think, it's not just low income. When we look at every day in these companies, they're laying off and getting rid of, I mean, these are big jobs. And it's hard to get a big job again. And it takes 3 and 4 and 5 interviews, sometimes months before you get another opportunity. And the bills don't stop because I don't have a job, it's gonna stop now. It's rough out here for everybody. I don't care who you are. So I'm not out here judging anybody on their bills. Bills are killing us. Medical, just getting ready to go up, is already killing us. Now it's gonna go up higher for medical. You go to the grocery store and people barely can get some eggs and some bacon. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. So those who are not getting any help can't hardly make it now, which does affect our sales tax. Because the person said, well, maybe I can't get no whole carton of eggs this time. So they're spending less. And those who have a little bit of money, they're trying to hold on to it because they don't know which way this economy is going to go. So the affordability led by Washington trickled down to state and then hitting us at the county level. So we must, for me, I must put affordability top notch in front. It's not so much balancing just this binder. I got to make sure in this binder, is this something to help grandma be able to balance so she can hold on until we hopefully get through these crazy times. It's got to be something in this binder, not just this binder, is it something for the veteran that just came home? or his home and trying to make it, done served our country and trying to hold on. This is not just a binder, a budget, or we balanced it. We structurally balanced, but that husband is unstructurally balanced and can't send his kids to college, can't make it, don't know how he's gonna pay the next mortgage. Because if they're unsuccessful, then this binder is unsuccessful. So for me, that's where when I come into the budget, yes, I know numbers. I've been on the finance, the city and the state. I know the numbers, but I'm trying to match it with the people. What are their needs? What are they saying? What can we do? And it requires us to go non-traditional. So what we've been doing for 200 years, 285 years, no good anymore. So we can say, oh, we do it this way all the time, and it's over. It's time for new concepts, new ideas, very strong negotiations, and leveraging every penny. Don't say, oh, well, commissioners before did it, so what? That's old. We used to be on horses and buggies, and we ain't on it no more. So it's going to challenge us, all departments, and I said this in our meeting that we had over at the Memorial Hall, we got to look at it from a different lens. We got to be more nimble now. We got to meet the needs and the challenges, because that's what we're here to do. So at least for me. So safety, affordability, and no new tax burdens. Now, I will say that I'm disappointed, and I'm going to continue to say it. The new bingo deal counted out the taxpayers. They got less than they got in the other deal. The other deal was terrible, but at least you can try to get 30%. You could look at it each year. You could vote on it. This new deal cut them out and say you ain't getting 30% ever. So you cut them out. The only way that would have cut them in is if we put it on the ballot, because then you got to talk to them. You put them on the ballot, they won't be running down trying to meet with our officers. They'll be out in the community trying to meet with these homeowners. That's what happened the first time. They didn't go down to the county commission office and come here and get 2 minutes. They had to go to these neighborhoods. They had to go to, the Bengals had to get out of that stadium they was in and get out here and find some people and talk to grandma and talk to some other people. Now, it ended up not being truthful, but they had to talk to them. This time, they didn't have to talk to nobody in the neighborhood. They didn't have to leave that stadium. They didn't have to go into these communities. They didn't have to go out to Anderson Township, hear what they had to say. They didn't have to go to Colerain Township, see what they got to say. They didn't have to go into Evanston and see what they had to say. They just stayed in their offices that we pay for, and all they did was have their lawyers and our lawyers, and we was behind closed doors. So that's why I'm disappointed that we're going from 30% to 4.5% when the homeowners are the ones that's struggling right now. If they lose their home, they won't be able to pay it all. And then the home goes into a land bank that pays $0. So that's why I was fighting for that, because that's what I heard from them. And some people brought their bills. I heard from them. It's not something you got to listen to me. All you got to do is look at your bill. Your bill will tell you what it is. With that being said, this budget, this portion of the budget, does fund our veterans, which is super important. It funds safety. We increase our budget for the sheriffs. We increase the budget that was proposed. We increased that for the prosecutor's office. We increased the probate court. So we put some increases around, insularly around safety. So that's why I can support it. The veterans are not counted out. They're counted in. Fully funded, I can support it. The 513 Relief Bus Mobile is more needed now than ever before. Over 30,000 people in services. It's the county going all over this county. No matter where they go, there's a need. They go out to Harrison one time. water was getting ready to be turned up. There was a need. People going in there they're gonna need it even more now because the co-pays that went up. You can go there and at least get your blood pressure checked and get your diabetes checked and those kind of things at no co-pay. People now are looking for discounts. When I was in Kroger's, the lady was looking, that ain't on sale, put it down, even though it was only a $2 difference. They got the little Kroger card. Everybody, put it on my card. And when you get done, you got $3.50 more. You gonna give me my $3. People are looking for discounts. So as a county, any discount we can pass on. And that's what the bus is trying to do, to connect you to the services and the discounts. So I'm happy that the bus is in here mobile, and other counties are trying to follow us because they didn't have no bus. Now they trying to get a bus. And so I'm happy with the 513 relief bus is in here so I can support it. Small businesses. Now we were there to help them in their toughest times, but the times are still tough. Restaurants every day, been open 30 years, 25, you hear it every day. This one done went out of business after 25 years. This one's going out of business out of 30 years. Small businesses, if big companies are laying off, small businesses got pneumonia. So I'm happy that in here we keep some funding for the Office of Small Business and try to help people. Some people are gonna be forced to go into small business because they ain't got no job. And they gotta try to make some money. They gotta become an entrepreneur. So I'm glad that we have that in the budget. Small Business Day to help connect them is in there. Pitch night is not just a pitch, and I had said this. I want more money going to the actual entrepreneur. That's what I want. So they can try to help stay afloat and be able to continue. I know we rolled the facade program, but it's very important with facade programs. Most small businesses don't have time to do the outside and all that. And these business districts is very important for economic development. Now, the community revitalization grants, I support that because we've been doing nothing but revitalizing. Every time I look up, and believe me, I mean, I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, but every time I look up, it's a downtown major project. So people in the other areas say, well, that's good, but we can't have all our money going downtown. What about our business districts in Mount Healthy and Lockland and other places? They want something too. Springfield Township. So the community revitalization allows us to get around and know that it's one Hamilton County, 49 municipalities, so it can be strong and be able to collect taxes. If it's empty, they ain't collecting nothing. If they ain't collecting nothing and buying nothing, we not getting nothing. The other thing that we make our money on, they say property taxes, they've said sales tax, we make our money also on hotel, motel tax. Now, what we got to do is quit giving it away all over the place if it doesn't bring something back. We've got to get something too. And so I do support the large tourism grants. Now, this wasn't no COVID program. What this is if the people are bringing heads to the beds, because it's competitive now. You can go other places. You don't have to come here. If you putting heads in these beds, we get paid. And I'm willing to support those who have events. Why would I want to get rid of or let some other place come in and cut them out and they not bringing heads to the beds? Now, some things ain't bringing no heads to the beds. I ain't really that's okay. But I'm looking for how many heads to the beds have we brought versus how much we done put into this large, that's why I put the word tourism grants. This is to get outside people who don't live here, bring the money, stay in these hotels, so we can use the money to be able to reinvest in our county. So that's why that's important, because we can't keep cutting and we ain't bringing nothing forward to bring no money in. Nor can we bring ideas and things forward and then we cut taxes. We bring development forward and then say, no tax. So-and-so's a developer and tax-free for 5-6 years. In the meantime, grandma and grandpa got to pay extra taxes. So I'm not interested in bringing a lot of things in that's giving no taxes. We might have to put our foot down on some of that stuff. But this large event and the community revitalization, I think we could do a better job of looking at how much money did it bring in. But it has to be heads in the beds, not just I got a great event. So that's what I think is important. Sports Commission, I support it. I want an amateur sports facility. We're losing money every day. And Northern Kentucky, we holding up, and then they say, oh, Northern Kentucky's gonna build one, and we get to grinning. We brought in a person that's aggressive, that's gonna lead. We revitalized this sports commission. And the convention center can only do so many, because if you do a convention, you book 3-4 years out, then you can't have the tournament all the time. So, but I'm glad that they're doing some things. This person has proven. We gave them $150,000 last year to market and bring in sporting events, and they have brought in sporting events. And I want to do more. I want to be more aggressive, and I want to bring more opportunities to kids that live here. If you bring these outside sporting events, you bring national coaches. And when you bring the national coaches, they get to see our kids. And when they see our kids get a chance to get the scholarships. And that's very important to me. So I support this budget having the sports commission, because they also got what? Heads in the beds. And when those heads get on those beds, we as a county get money. So I support that. And I'm also happy Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame's in here because it's funded through restricted funds, no general fund. So I'm happy about that is in here. It has 300,000 visitors that have come. We got a clicker down there. I think it's more than 300,000. That was the October numbers. I don't know what the other numbers are going to be, but it's 300,000 coming down there. So there are certain things. I think this budget is diversified. Economic development, safety, small business, no new taxes on the real estate, transfer fee is out of there. And I agree that we've got to keep our eye on this on a month-to-month because things are changing. To the Children's Services Levy, I'll say this and wrap up. To the homeowner that's out there or the citizen that's out there, who they're the ones who pay for that. The levy is paid by homeowners, property taxes. When they see $100 million, and then all of a sudden now it's time for a new levy, and now we talking about we broke, they're gonna want some answers. And so we've had some preliminary things, but as we move forward, I wanna make sure we shouldn't be able to get from 100 million all the way down and now we ain't got no money and now we ready to do something. I need to know if it started looking like your account going down, we got to hold up, time out. Let's have a real, just a focused thing on this. And so I know that the administrator said now we'll get, I think every month we'll be looking at our money and we'll be doing that. But to the person on the outside, this is what, because I would think it too. If I wasn't sitting in here, I'm still kind of thinking, how in the world we go from $100 million a year ago, extra money, and then you come back a year later and now you talking about you done ran out of money. People get a little dicey with that. And then they looking at their own home bill and they ain't getting no break and the property tax going up and they get a little upset. So I'm looking forward to, again, doing it different. I want to look at this. I might need to look at it every week. We know that these companies are doing some new things to us. They need to be exposed. If they overcharging the county, I'm for exposing these companies that's overcharging the county and trying to bankrupt the county. Who are these companies? That's another thing. We're not voting on that today. And I'm happy that we got $1 million for affordable housing, but I'm not for giving it to a specific entity yet. Bring a project. What's the quickest we can get some people in some housing? Is it vouchers? Is it building something new? Because the goal is to get people that's unhoused, housed. And so I'm happy that that is in the budget. So with that, I will support this budget. Again, I do want to thank the administration and the budget people and everybody that works on this. Because I know you said, man, it's a lot of questions. Because when I walk out of here, there's a lot of questions I'm gonna have to answer to the people that are out here struggling. So thank you all for working on this. Thanks to the chiefs. I know it's a lot of back and forth. We've gotten there. We got, and what we do is celebrate each day and take it day by day. So today is a good day. Safety, affordability, and no new taxes. I vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to make a motion that we approve of item number 1.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you again, Jeff. Oh, and buy leave. Buy leave number 11. I'm going to make a motion we approve of buy leave number 11.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam President, item number 11, that was the $30. Which one was that?
That was the reserve allocation for the other components of the budget.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on. Let's go to the engineers' items 2 and 3.
Thank you, Commissioners. Todd Long, Chief Deputy Engineer. Item number 2 refers to some progress in snow and ice removal. So before I get to that item, I'd like to thank our hardworking men and women who have been working diligently through our snow and ice season. Although it's just begun, we know we have work to do. We're prepared to continue to clean the roads. So I just want to thank them for all their work, being away from their family during the hours they have to work. So I appreciate that. With no further ado, item number 2 is a resolution for an intergovernmental agreement with Miami Township for the rental of a rubber tire loader for the 2025-26 snow season. The agreement is for $2,000 for the rubber tire loader portion with a 25% cap on the engineer's cost out of road and bridge funds up to $10,000 for any loader repair. Item number 3 is a resolution to allow the 2026 resurfacing program, project 502602, to be put out to bid. This is located in Anderson, Coleraine, Harrison, Sycamore, and Sims Townships. The bid opening date would be January 15th, 2026. The engineer's estimate is $5,060,000, of which $2 million will be coming from the Road and Bridge Fund, and $3,060,000 will be coming from Permissive Auto Fund, Restricted Fund. The road list, I'd like to just read that briefly for everyone. We've got Campbell Road from the City of Harrison Corp line to an address of 10444. We've got entirety of Daleview Road from Shee to Springdale Road on list. We've got Dry Ridge Road from 6404 to the dead end, which is the vast majority of Dry Ridge Road. Edgewood Road from Lee's Creek to about 500 feet north of Trailhead Place. That's the northern section of Edgewood rather. Newtown Road from Bartles Road to Ragland, which is approximately 2/3 of the roadway for Newtown. Pottinger Road, Stout Road between Struble Road and Pippin Road, and then Snyder Road in both north and south sections, the north section being from Bridlemaker Lane to approximately 100 feet south of Pine Cove Court, and then from Cornell Road to East Kemper Road. If you're keeping track, I didn't list the mileage, but the total is about 10.5 total miles for that particular cost. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And thank you for recognizing the employees that were out there in the snow and the cold. It was so cold, and it was really challenging to clear the roads. I didn't get any complaints after the bad weather. I personally couldn't get up a hill in my neighborhood, but it's in the city. So, and I did not complain. I just waited for it to melt. But anyway, thank you for recognizing. We too want to recognize that hard work. Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yeah, thank you also for bringing that up. And I was going to ask what the mileage was, and you already told us 10.5. So thank you so much. That's all I have.
Commissioner Reese?
Yeah, I just want to join in thanking the staff that's out there. It's, like you said, really cold. Now we're gonna have some more cold, coming up. We're just getting into the thick of it. We'll be, this is our last meeting, but we'll be hit January, February. And last time after the salt, I don't know, they said we had some different kind of salt come in because we were out of salt. Now I'm not an expert on salt except seasoning for my food, but it created these, not just little potholes. I mean, these things were, and then it created more of them, and we had to get more people kind of out there. Is there something different that we're going to be able to do this time, or?
Well, there's a number of different types of salt products that are put out on the road. The vast majority of the additives for that are a colorant, and that's what we talked about in last season when we were looking at that. I believe the company that we have ours bid from is not using that blue colorant. It's more of a straight non-colored salt additive. The county engineer's office typically utilizes straight road salt. We have some limited pre-treatment that we do, but because of the roadway systems that we have in place, we have the ability to do more with the plow. So pushing the snow off of the road is the first line of defense. Salt is then going to clear that with a little bit of temperature and with a little bit of water, actually bring it to a solution that it can actually start to begin to doing some of that melting work. The potholes themselves are actually created from the freeze-thaw cycle. So when water infiltrates into a crack or something that's in the pavement, that's actually where we get the freeze-thaw. So when we go from these really, really frigid times to these much more warmer times, that's when the damage starts to occur. And so the salt won't be a preventative for that particular function. That's something that we have to continue to put cold patch asphalt in place while the cold season is out, and then wait to come out of the thaw until we can put down a more formalized hard surface with a hot substance asphalt, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the explanation. My biggest thing was we had bigger potholes than we ever had seen before. And these things was like, you going all the way down. So I know they had mentioned something was out of stock or whatever. I don't know. Whatever we can do to prevent that or be in front of it. I know we can't predict everything, but try to be in front of it because we've been doing it for years. It just last year was crazy. And
a lot of extreme temperatures.
Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move that we approve of items 2 and 3.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Commissioner.
Todd. All right, we're on to MSD. I'm going to ask that we move, with your deference, commissioners, the budgets, because we've got some folks from the public that are still here waiting for this item. So these are items number 10, 11, and 12. So Lauren's with us. Diana's not here today, but Lauren's here. Thank you for being here. Please walk us through these. We've had quite a bit of conversation about the budgets, and we've had some public hearings. So thank you for being here. Please give us the highlights of these items.
Good morning, Commissioners. Director Christie had a family matter this morning, couldn't be here, but I'm here, as well as several others from MSD to support. As you said, our last 3 items on your regular agenda our annual budgets and rate adjustment for 2026. Director Christie previously presented on these, and 2 public hearings have been held, so I'll just briefly summarize. For our 2026 operating budget, item 10, we're seeking an appropriation of $255,969,450. We've worked with the administration to reduce this by approximately $7 million from our initial request, but are still confident that this request is sufficient to fund our daily operations in 2026. Item 11 is our revised sewer rate schedule to be effective as of January 1 of 2026. As we've discussed, it's been determined that we need a 4.5 increase in revenue to fund the district. To accomplish this, we're proposing to keep all the minimum base charges flat. Surcharge and industrial pretreatment charges will also not increase. The only change is to our commodity charge, which is the charge for water usage over 3 CCF. That is moving from the current 2-tier declining rate structure, where you get a cheaper rate if you use more water, essentially. We'll move to a single rate for all water usage over 3 CCF. That is our minimum allowance, and that is anticipated to generate enough revenue that is determined to be needed to fund the district's activities. Moving on to the last item, item 12, this is our 2026 to 2030 capital improvement program and 2026 capital budget. The proposed capital budget for 2026 is $153,604,637. Of that amount, we are requesting appropriation today of $84,418,116. We will come back, as we always do throughout the year, for the remainder of that budget as these projects are ready to proceed to construction. So with that, we recommend approval.
Okay, thank you very much. So those were items 10, 11, and 12. I just have a few comments, particularly related to the operating budget and some of the folks that are that come in and testify at the public hearings. We heard from some of them today. I just do want to note that we heard some of these concerns and are responding here in this budget. Primary of them all is that we are keeping rates flat for residential property owners in the coming year. There is a shift in how we charge individuals and corporations for the sewer system, and we have, and when I say we, I mean MSD and us, have made an attempt here to right-size that so that the residential property owners are not bearing the brunt of that, but rather those that use more are paying more. And so I am grateful for that shift. I think that's been a long time coming. I know there's more to do, but I think it's good news that the rates will not increase for residents in this community. The other one is the impervious surface. We just passed a resolution about this to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable to some of the recommendations that came out of the Affordability Task Force. I know there wasn't consensus, but there was interest about impervious surface and thinking through how we can do better there to not only capture some of the stormwater that's running off into the system, but also make sure that those that are responsible for that runoff are paying either their fair share or doing something to ameliorate, which would be even better, keep that water out of the system to begin with. So I'm glad that we are moving forward on that. And then the SBU program, we always talk about this, but there is plenty of money in the sewer backup program for relief for citizens that continue to struggle with sewer backups. We've done quite a bit of prevention work, and I want to shout out MSD for this. It's an approach that keeps sewers from backing up to begin with, so that we put quite a bit of money in there from the SBU program. So I'm glad that that is, it's a more forward-thinking kind of approach, and so I'm really grateful that MSD has recommended that to us, and we have approved of those shifts. So not much else to say about the operating budget. One question about the capital budget. So we heard a couple months ago about an example, I think it was a treatment facility that had gone up dramatically in price due to economic uncertainties and tariffs. What is your forecast moving into the next year related to what is slated here for the capital budget and how what's happening at the national level might negatively impact what the numbers that we're looking at today?
Sure, thank you for that question. Deputy Director Reese Johnson is here, is more intimately involved in the development and overseeing the implementation of our CIP. So I'm going to ask him to come up and respond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Commissioners, so if I heard the question correctly, what would be the impact of potential tariffs on the CIP in the coming year?
So we've seen that impact already in projects that we've approved of. What I'm wondering is, what is your forecast for that moving into next year?
We're staying closely aligned with our contractors and our consultants to understand where their cost estimates are coming from and reviewing those very closely. We don't have a better crystal ball than anybody else does about those. So we're keeping a very close eye on that and continuing to watch our costs and our cost estimates. We don't have a forecast one way or the other besides the cost estimates that we have today. We're expecting to continue to work through the uncertain times, as the commissioners have mentioned, that we're in those very uncertain times.
Okay, thank you very much. And just a reminder to anybody that might be viewing this meeting, the operating budget is for the consent decree, which is an unfunded mandate from the federal government, and for asset management. So making sure the system, which is over 100 years in some areas, is functioning properly and provides this utility to every single resident and every single business owner in this community. So I just as a broad reminder of what we're doing here today, this is an annual budget. We approve it every year, and so that's what we're looking at. So thank you for your response. I too am concerned about what's happening at the federal level, but I'm glad you're all keeping an eye on it. And if you could provide us, as you come in for these projects, I mean, you're always coming in as we need to allocate additional dollars that have been budgeted but need to be allocated. I would appreciate that kind of analysis as to how we're doing, and if the budgets have gone up, what are the things contributing to that? Because I think it's really important for us to understand that.
Absolutely. We've been working very closely with the county administration on the procedures by which we would bring those forward and highlighting the reasons for those cost increases so that we would understand, oh, that was just because cost of the materials went up, or because there's a particular tariff on that type of material or labor or such. So we've been working closely with them with identifying how to bring that forward as those come.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you very much. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you. Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Item 10, it was good to hear about reducing the amount, $7 million. And so appreciate you working with staff and everyone working to try to reduce. I know we'll probably see you again if you need more. We oftentimes do. And then as it relates to item 12, the $84 million, I guess I'll be, and I know I will for now on 26 and on, be repetitive as it relates to telling people that are listening, I'll say the layperson, where this money is coming from, like the $84 million. Where does that come from? So do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure, just generally.
Okay,
I mean,
so I'm thinking you couldn't give me $100,000 for this, but it's $84 million for that. So just in general, I'm going to be asking you and anybody else that comes up where that money comes from. So if you could just say.
Yes, generally, I mean, it varies by expense, but generally we're funding things with cash. We are a ratepayer funded organization, a restricted fund. We use bond financing. We receive a lot of financial support from our state revolving loan fund, WPCLF. So those are the three primary sources for our projects.
And the primary reason is to let people know it's not coming out of our general budget. We couldn't do 84 anyway, but just to let people know this is not the money that we use to take care of your basic needs. So thank you, I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese.
Thank you. Item number 10 and 11 and 12, they all kind of go together.
Yes.
And what I'm concerned is I don't necessarily want to be on the record for any type of, I don't mind looking at the increase on a year-by-year basis, but if I go into this 2026 to 2030 plan, it does have some step ladders in terms of the plan, according to what Mr. Ludo told me.
So that is correct. It's a 5-year planning period, but we have always brought back rates every single year to look at what's going on and what is needed for the district. But you're right. We are looking 5 years out in terms of our capital projects and what we foresee doing and what spending is associated with that.
Yeah, and then I'm on record saying yes to it. The other thing is I kind of want to see how this plays out because we're doing a shifting this year. And when you hear commercial, you think of, it was a testimony earlier, you think of the big company. But what startled me when they said some restaurants could be affected. So I kind of want to see how that's going to play out because I know it's up to 15%. We kind of don't know yet from what I was hearing.
Right. It very much depends on what those individual organizations, businesses, and their water usage is, and what if they're paying surcharge, if they have a deduct meter, and maybe they're using more water, but they're putting it into a product, so they're not necessarily charged for that. It really does vary. Whereas with residential properties, they tend to be pretty similar, and we can determine what the impact is going to be. Those commercial and industrial. I mean, we can say those who are using over approximately 58 CCF per month are going to see an increase, but giving you a general impact or average, we're just not able to do that. Or it wouldn't be meaningful, at least.
Yeah, no, I got you. And I know they would, if we had more time, they would probably be able to come to the table, some of them. Yeah, so that's kind of mine. I don't want La Rosa's calling me saying they don't went up and then the pizza done went up and all that. So those are just kind of my concerns. But I do appreciate creativity. We do have something that we're going to be looking at that we just passed and kind of see how that plays out. But when we play these scenarios out, because what we're doing is kind of a shifting, I just like to have all the people that, not just one group that'll be affected. I want to know so I don't inadvertently end up hurting, because a lot of times it's the little guy, the little gal, they're the ones that get hit. The big companies, they have lawyers and, they have more staff to kind of navigate it versus some of the smaller folks. So, okay, those are the questions that I had. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and take these items then. I'm going to move that we approve of items 10, 11, and 12.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas? Commissioner Reese?
Abstain.
Okay, let's go back to item number 4.
Items 4, 5, and 6 are similar, so I'll summarize those together. They are all legislation to authorize design of 3 sewer assessment projects, 2 sewer lateral projects located at 5657 and 5621 Work Road, and a local sewer to serve 2 properties on Loveland Madeira Road. These projects will facilitate the elimination of the household sewage treatment systems that currently serve these properties, and all projects have 100% support of the property owners. These are all $0 requests. The funding necessary will be moved from the 2025 HSTS elimination allowance. Moving on to item 7, this is a resolution to cancel the Coldstream Drive and Asbury Road local sewer project. This project was initiated in 2011 by petition with 54% support, so just barely a majority. We're recommending canceling the project at this point, primarily due to its cost. We discovered various challenges through the design phase that will result in a significant increase in construction costs, including utility conflicts, necessary rock excavation, coordination with ODOT, and easement appropriations. We're also recommending canceling this project due to the low level of homeowner support, as I said, 54% at the beginning, and just 51% based on a repolling performed in 2021. Per Hamilton County Public Health, all of the HSTS systems are operable except for 3. Those owners will need to pursue repair or replacement of their systems. Item 8 is legislation to approve an intergovernmental agreement with Green Township for the Wesselman Trailside Sewer Extension Project, which is intended to expand sewer service and development capacity in Green Township. Under the proposed agreement, Green Township will be funding the design and construction of the project and will transfer ownership of the newly constructed sewer to the board to be operated and maintained by MSD in the future. Item 9 is to authorize an agreement with UDF, under which UDF will perform work requested by MSD as part of their expansion of their operations on Bridgetown Road in Miami Township. We're requesting appropriation of $225,000 for MSD to reimburse UDF for the actual cost to relocate an existing MSD sewer to a better location for purposes of ongoing operation, maintenance, as well as potential expansion in the future. And that is all I have. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I would like to ask a question about item number 9. Could you say, I missed that one, and so the cost to the utility is the 225?
Up to 225. Okay. It will be for their actual costs of relocating that sewer, which they'll submit to us.
Okay, they're asking us to move the sewer?
So they came to us for permits associated with their expansion of their operations at their current location on Bridgetown Road. We took a look at it and noticed that our sewer that is in that location is really not in a desirable location. It's very difficult to reach and maintain. So we're always looking for opportunities to collaborate and take advantage of them doing the work anyway. Causes less disruption, is more cost efficient. So this will move it to a location that's easier for us to maintain. It's also much easier for us to extend in the future if there is desire to expand sewer service in that area of Miami Township.
So to be clear, it's to the benefit of MSD.
Yes.
To do this.
Yes.
Okay. I know Jim Brett is here, also from Miami Township. Do you have any comment to this one?
Thank you. First, UDF and the representatives, Ian from MSD, have kept the township involved in everything. We see this as a big plus for MSD for maintenance, and we also see some opportunity to get some expansion in the area, and eliminate some failing home sewage treatment systems. So Township is very in favor of this, and I'm just here if you have any questions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. All right, commissioners, any other questions?
No questions.
Okay. All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve of items 4 through 9.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. And thanks to the MSD team for being here. Appreciate it. Happy holidays to you all.
Commissioner, just at the risk of belaboring things just a bit, just on that 514 project, I just wanted to say, just at a very high level, board hasn't seen a lot of these recently, but it seems like when they come, they do come in bunches sometimes. And this was a policy that was put in place years ago. It was a really innovative way of trying to ensure that when a private developer needs to do something that involves sewer infrastructure that the utility was not otherwise planning to do anything for, but it does serve to the benefit of the utility, that it allows that development to move forward, and MSD then reimburses the cost of it. So it was something that we were needing to do anyway. It just wasn't on the plans, and it helps that private development, also helps the utility. So you could be seeing more of these. So I just wanted to put it out there. When they do come forward, we typically call them a 514 project. So just for future reference.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the public benefit was there for that project.
That's a key part of it.
We
That's
heard
right.
from the community and we heard from MSD. So thank you very much. All right, Jeff, we're back to you with item number 13.
All right. This is your consent agenda, commissioners. Item number 13 is approving the use of credit cards in the Office of Addiction Response for 2026, $90,000. Item number 14 is the auditor's statement of financial transactions for November of 2025. Item 15 is authorizing credit card use in the auditor's office for $60,000. Item number 16 is the actions of the administration for November of 2025. Item number 17 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Trivium Interactive for $210,232. Item number 18 is authorizing the administration to finalize an agreement with Messer for construction management services to complete the Club VT vertical transportation projects down at Paycor Stadium. Item 19 is authorizing the use of credit cards under the Board of County Commissioners for $180,000. Item number 20 is authorizing the use of credit cards in the Office of Media and Engagement for $240,000 in 2026. Item number 21 is approving for the record, the bid awards and contracts executed by the Purchasing Department in November of 2025 for $4.6 million. Item 22 is a resolution establishing parking rate changes for Findlay Market Garage for 2026. These are actually slight reductions in the 24/7 and monthly charges at that garage. Item 23 is a resolution authorizing the county auditor to process approved payments on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners for 2026. Item number 24 is an agreement with With Company. This is for move services associated with the Central Campus project at $391,000. Item 25 is a then and now between the county and Carasoft Technology for $31,958. Item 26 is an agreement with Mayor Electric for a fire alarm replacement project at Great American Ballpark, $1.28 million. Item 27 is the use of credit cards by the coroner's office in 2026 at $12,000. There's also item number 28, which is also credit cards in the coroner's office for $24,000. The first of those relates to fuel purchases. Items 29, 30, and 31 are all facade projects occurring in Springfield Township, Cheviot, and Wyoming. Item 29 is Springfield Township for $51,000. I do want to acknowledge Kathleen Kennedy being here from Springfield Township if there's any questions that the board has. Item 30 is with the city of Cheviot at $65,000. Item 31 is Wyoming for $52,000. Item 32 is an agreement with the Port Authority for renovation and revitalization of the former Perry and Derrick facility in Norwood. This is for asbestos abatement and various structural upgrades to that former paint facility. I believe Melissa Johnson is here. Oh, there she is over on the other side of the room. If there's any questions, commissioners, that's at $750,000. Item 33, commissioners, is the agreement with the Hamilton County General Health District for facility inspection services on behalf of the Solid Waste Management District, $339,000. Item 34 is a tentative collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME Field Operations in Planning and Development. Item 35 is a resolution declaring December 26th a paid holiday of the county. That's the day right after Christmas, obviously, but it falls on a Friday, so that would make it a seamless weekend for employees. Item 36 is a resolution these are all JFS items, authorizing an amendment to an agreement between the Ohio Region Workforce Investment Board and Princeton City School District for career navigation services. I believe that's just an extension of time associated with that agreement. Item 37 is an amendment for an agreement with Prestige Travel for travel arrangement and related services, $14,000. Item 38 is an amendment to an agreement with Legacy Residential Home for group home services at $240,900. Item 39 is a resolution authorizing credit cards in the law library for $1,700. Item 40 is authorizing credit card usage in the prosecutor's office at $6,000. Item 41 is a report on the use of DTAC funds in the prosecutor's office for 2025. Item 42 is a resolution authorizing the use of credit cards in the public defender's office for $85,000. And item 43 is the monthly investment report for the treasurer for the month of November 2025. I believe that is the consent agenda, commissioners, unless I've missed anything.
I believe it is too, so let's just go with that. So just a couple of things. Item 22, which is the Findlay Market Garage. When we built this garage, it was in response to a need by FC Cincinnati, but most primarily a need from the community, both for the Findlay Market operations and the employees that work there and the vendors and the customers, but also the residents that live in that area, and there are plenty of them and more to come. And so I am glad that we are doing this. I personally always felt that the rates were a little too high, not by way of the transient population, but rather the residents and the business owners. And so I am glad we're making this adjustment to make this a more accessible community asset to those that live and work in that area. So I appreciate the adjustment there. I know it's not always easy to do that work, but I think that's right, the right thing to do. Under economic development, 29, 30, and 31, we just talked about the importance of economic development and revitalization in neighborhoods, and these are three pretty good examples of that in Springfield, Cheviot, and Wyoming, so I did want to shout those out. The item 32 is the Perry and Derrick in Norwood. Melissa Johnson is here. Would you just come forward and could you just briefly describe this investment? Because we talk quite a bit about site readiness and getting sites available for businesses in our community and government doing the work of the cleanup so that a private developer will go in and invest and create jobs on these locations. So we've talked about this in terms of the budget a little bit, but help us better understand the importance of this one.
Happy to. Good afternoon, Melissa Johnson with the Cincinnati Port Authority. I want to start off by saying that we do appreciate your acknowledgement of the priority of economic development. You've continued to invest in site readiness for years. It takes time to pay dividends, but it is a patient game, and we appreciate your patience in that game, but we value, even inside of this difficult budget, that you continue to prioritize that and invest in this initiative. Perry and Derrick has been kind of a problematic property for the city of Norwood for some time. Over, say, the past 12 or 15 years, it had unstable and inconsistent ownership, which resulted in a need in a partnership between the port and the city of Norwood, where they asked us to step in and pursue ownership. That ultimately was funded via a sub-recipient grant, from what I understand, from the city of Norwood. I think that we purchased it for about $178,000. I think both parties kind of recognize the importance of public ownership to reach a point of stabilization. So this has been a rather chronic piece of real estate. Since the port's ownership, we've invested about $260,000 by demolishing 3 pretty unstable structures on the property, which totals about just under 4 acres. We've also tried to be creative and leverage other resources around the project, asking for some technical brownfield assistance from the Ohio EPA, which has funded, kind of subsidized, if you will, directly to an environmental consultant, their work for phase 1 and phase 2 site assessments. We also had, prior to the port's ownership, the US EPA invested about $1 million to remove pretty chronic hazardous substance that was throughout the property. So your funds today is truly gap funding, some of the traditional avenues that we would have in the Ohio Department of Development or other US or Ohio EPA funds aren't directly available given the timing of some of the site assessment work that was done. So your $750,000 will provide structural assessment, stabilization, the removal of asbestos, which will be critical to moving the project forward in any real way and making development possible. From what I understand, the US EPA did also do a conceptual plan in partnership with the port, and I believe the city of Norwood was a part of that process, which kind of started the conversation around of ideas and what could this property be moving forward. So to be transparent with you, it still has a long way to go after this, but this will be, I think one of the times where we do see a true need for some gap funding to kind of move it forward, get over a couple of hurdles, and be able to hopefully find other pre-development funds and development funds moving forward. We do have support letters from the city of Norwood and Alloy, which I think maybe were provided to you, but it's, I think, been a longstanding issue for the city of Norwood, and so we're happy to be partnered with them.
Great. Thank you so much for the explanation. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
I have no questions for Melissa.
Or I'm finished with all of my.
Are you finished with me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, okay.
Well, so far so good, right? So
Yes,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Something.
leave the podium. Leave the podium. I have no further questions, Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Okay, I just wanted to bring up item 26. As we look at the fire alarm system replacement, it's just, I think, reminiscent of our commitment to follow through on upgrading facilities, not only Paycor, but the Great American Ballpark. So we need to do that, and we're doing it. So that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese?
Yes. Items 29 to 31. Jeff, you said someone, he was here from Springfield. Yeah.
Springfield Township.
She come up and tell us about the facade. Oh, there she is. I'm sorry. We have this poll, so we're like, is it this way or that way?
Yeah, Kathleen, you're kind
Duck around the board. Yeah, hi there. Was there a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just tell us about the facade. What would that be at Springfield?
Sure. So Springfield Township. So I'm Kathleen Kennedy. I'm the assistant administrator with Springfield Township. Thank you so much for your time and for having us, and for your continued commitment to economic development in the communities here in Hamilton County. The $51,000 that is being recommended for award to the township would be to reinvest in the facade of many of our local businesses in our main business corridor in Springfield Township. So along Winton Road, but we also have businesses on Galbraith Road and Daly Road and Hamilton Avenue. We're quite spread out, just to continue to invest in the appearance of those businesses.
Okay, great. That's what I was wondering, because I was like, it's spread out. Well, it's not one business district, so this will be able to help multiple locations.
So Springfield Township actually already currently has something similar. So this is going to be able to stretch that funding with the township even further. As you can imagine, facade improvements have become very expensive, especially if you're a small business or a local business owner. And so to be able to increase the funding that we have for that program in the township, I'm excited to take that even further than we have in the past.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's it. That's all I had. Just wanted to just acknowledge that again. This does help. Like she said, small businesses, they don't have the money to do the outside stuff. So this is great. And it's good to know it will be able to stretch to multiple areas. So happy to support that. I think this is a very good program. So good to hear from folks.
That it?
That's all.
Okay. All right. I am going to make a motion that we approve of consent agenda items 13 through 43.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. This is the last meeting of the year for us, and Because of that, it is my last meeting as president. And so I just wanted to thank everyone for all the hard work over the last year. We'll be passing the gavel, if all goes as planned, to Commissioner Summer Dumas in the upcoming years. So just wanted to say it's been a pleasure to serve as president. Thank you for all the work, and look forward to moving into the next year. With that, Commissioners, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn.
Be safe. Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you.